that we have been kind of talking about a little bit here and there, but not completely. And then at the end, we'll have any of your questions that you have as well. So I'm going to have you go ahead, share your screen with me today. Excuse me. I know, excuse me, when we met last, we kind of went through the workflow up until how you guys do the charging and getting that over to the Coronis folks to do the actual submission and their process.
Yes.
So I do have a question in regards to orders, because I know we touched on that the very first time we met as well. You order directly through the DNA center. So is that something that you guys do in-house, like your MRIs, or does that actually go to another facility outside of your organization?
It goes to a facility outside of our organization.
Okay. You're just using it so it looks nice and professional. It says DNA Center when you print the rec.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I was peeking around the other day and I noticed there was one patient and he had two different orders. One was for a cervical MRI and the other one was for a lumbar. And it just made me wonder why there was two, instead of having two MRIs on one order. I was just something that just piqued interest in my brain. Would they typically go to two different facilities for those, or?
No, they would normally go to one.
Okay. All right. So maybe it was just a fluke.
Yeah, I don't know
sure.
why they would enter it that way. It may have just been the way they entered it, but I don't know why they would.
Okay, perfect. All right. So the first thing on the list, and I'm skipping over the MIPS thing, you're going to send me your measures of what you guys are tracking now. So again, that's going to probably be a whole session of itself. But just want to keep reminding you to send me those those measures that you guys are doing or wanting to track. Excuse me. All right. So I have incoming faxes and processing them. So you do have our fax module. So if you come up to modules up at the top, you'll have your advanced fax. It's also available in the practice manager side of the system under the same modules in advanced fax. And everything would filter in here as long as the email or the phone number is our phone number that the fax is set up with. And the way that you can see that fax, Laura, is if you come here into the top left where it says menu. And come to admin tab there, the home tools and admin. And then if you come down to fax settings, I think it is. A little pop-up. Katie's here. These are your three fax numbers. So if somebody is faxing to any one of those three, the fax will come into this inbox.
Okay.
The other option is if you already had like an existing fax number and your fax vendor, your current fax vendor allows, you could forward that to a fax number here. So then they would pop in. I don't know if you currently have more than one fax number other than the advanced MD faxes, because you have three here.
We do.
Or how that works. Okay. So you would then call forward, right? Whichever one you want to be to whatever number, right? You're going to say call forward to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then send this one to 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Kind of thing.
Okay.
And then they will fall in here. Okay. If you hit back at the bottom, excuse me, I haven't done a lot of talking this morning, so I still have a froggy throat. I apologize. If you come to cues up at the top there, cues are what people can be associated with. So come down and hit new at the very bottom. And you could create a cue for medical assistants, right? For providers. And then down below, you would associate who belongs with that cue. Okay.
Okay.
So you have that ability, and you can have as many cues as you want in the system. Okay. Go ahead and hit back for me one more time, because we're going to stay in here, and back one more time.
Okay.
Awesome. And we're going to come to practice information, which is next in the list. We're going to go right down this list. So this is what's going to go out for practice information with a cover sheet, right? This is the information that's going to go out. And you do have the ability to change this, modify this. So if you needed to, it's here. Okay. All right. Go ahead and hit back. And then come down to practice settings. Excellent. So we have your Eastern time zone. What do you want the system to do for you? Do you want to keep the forwarded fax in the advanced fax module? Do you want to allow for sending outbound faxes from queues? Do you want to allow non-admins to block incoming fax numbers? So any of those, hey, you've won a free trip kind of things, right? That we all get those spam faxes. You can allow your staff to move those to a blocked list. If you want to enable the relate to patient workflow feature, you have the ability to do that. Manually download messages, and they're going to be in it as a PDF. So if you did want to then download them and save them, you can. Excuse me, do not add the last page metadata. So that is the little blurb at the very bottom with like the URL and information at the very bottom. You can uncheck, you could check this, and then that message goes away with the little URL link at the bottom.
Okay.
You can enable displaying for custom fax. You can hide buttons, allow. And the main thing on the screen is, what do you want to do with the faxes? By default, they're kept in the sent, archive, and trash for 7 years, but you can change those drop downs to be different dates, different amounts of years and time in there. So scroll down just a little bit more. Excuse me. This is going to be, once you open the fax module, you can stay logged into the system for 60 minutes before you get logged out. So just like when you log into the EHR or you log into the practice manager time, if you're not using it, what is the system going to do for you? So it will log you out, and then you'd have to come back in through modules. You'll notice it did open it up in a new internet window tab, and that is because it's a web browser, a web-based fax number. So you have the ability to get into here for that. Okay. So not everybody has the ability to get into this area as well. So you guys can determine what you want there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Coming back again, we are going to come to the inbox buttons. So the inbox buttons, these are the ones checked that actually show when you get a fax that comes in. You have reply, fax back, resend, archive, comment. However, you do have a more button, and that will still show you the delete, download, PDF, mark as spam. They're just not in your face set up. So, but if you wanted them, you could click on one, and then the blue line lets you reorganize what the buttons fall in order. So you do have the ability for that as well. Okay. All right. Go ahead and hit the arrow up at the top and do the back button there. There, perfect. Tags. Tags are really awesome in the system. So every time you get a fax that comes into the system, you'll have this little tag option next to the fax, and you can color code. So maybe your auths are going to be red. So you could double click on the red here and change the name of red to authorization. So when somebody's looking at that fax and they know it belongs to the auth team, they can click the little tag and change it to the red color. So then when they come into the fax module, they'll be able to see, oh, these are all my auths that I need to work on. And you'll notice in the top right where it says types, tags, spaces, sort, they can just sort or remove or look at just their tags. So it kind of like declutters what they don't need to look at. So this is where you're going to be able to do that. So maybe you have one for back office, one for, like I said, authorizations or follow-up or something. You guys determine that within your workflow. If you need more than 8 tags, you have the blue plus sign there that says add tag, and then it's going to ask you for a name and a color, and you would add that there.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward, right?
Yep.
All right. So from here, go ahead and hit that back arrow one more time. Awesome. So fax settings, let's come down to that. That's that. We already saw it. But if you drop down the little arrows next to them, because I didn't show you those, this is where you could create a tag color and attach that. So that phone number will automatically come in with a red tag. So that's another way of knowing that area or office location needs to look at those. So you do have that, and you can also route things to a certain person if need be. Okay. All right,
Okay.
Go ahead and hit back one more time. Awesome. And then fax cover sheets. Fax cover sheet, this is the default. If you click on the default primary, it should open us. Maybe, yeah, perfect. It was grayed out, so it made me second guess myself. So you see everything in the brackets here from fax, everything, those are pulling from different bookmark areas within the system. So it's going to pull in you, it's going to pull in from what fax number, and it's going to pull in to whoever you pick. So you'll notice all the way over to the right-hand column there, it says from, and Laura, it's got your name and then fax. So you can see where it's pulling from. And that's pulling from your practice settings that we were looking at. So that's where those numbers are coming from and your location.
Okay.
This is the default. So if you close the little X in the top, that'll close this out. But if you needed to create a new cover sheet, you can go ahead and hit new at the bottom and then create a new cover sheet. Okay. Go ahead and hit back. I like templates, which is the next thing we're going to look at. So hit back right here. And templates. So templates is if you wanted a specific thing to go within your cover sheet, this is where you can add those templates. So if you are always sending to a certain group and you want that information to have like a pretty template information, you could create those in the system here, and that would, you'd be able to bring those in as you are faxing out of the system. Okay. All right, go ahead and hit back one more time. And then printer user mapping, this just allows you to have see your people who are set up with faxing. You can also install that virtual fax printer. So when you're in the system, if you don't have the ability to quote unquote fax or have the option to fax, you can do print and then pull in your fax printer, and then it will throw it to the fax module for you.
Okay.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to have you stop sharing, and I'm going to share just so you guys can kind of see what the data looks like within the module when you have stuff in it, if that's okay. My brain. There we go. That's what I want. All right. It's early. Sorry, I'm still drinking my Celsius caffeine this morning. So.
Me too.
All right. All right. So this is what it looks like. You can see I don't have a lot of incoming quote unquote faxes that I get because it's a demo environment. But these uploads are things that I have sent from my EHR to the fax module. So then from here I can fax them out to where they need to go. And then I do have some that I played with and they failed to go out, but that's okay because again, it's a demo environment for me. But you can see those are the tags that I was talking about. So if I wanted, I could see the different tag colors. I can click on it and then it tags it. And if I come up here, I can remove all the tags. And as I remove things, you can see my list gets shorter and shorter. And now I'm only seeing those 4 colors in the system. If I click them all, then I get everything. So it's a nice way to declutter what I don't need to look at. Okay. If I click on the arrow, I'm able to see these are those inbox buttons that we were talking about. And then I have the more and I have everything else. It's just what do you want to see here? In the system. I can also do select all. If there's multiple pages, it will select them all. If I hover over it, you can see the actual item. And then from here, I can go ahead and select page. If this was a fax that came in and I needed to save it to my patient's chart, this is where I could go ahead and search for my patient, bring up my patient, and then tell the system where I want to file this. So EHR and click OK. I have a subject line. I have all this information. And then I can also tell the system what category or where I want to file it. So these are all my chart folders within my system. So I could pick those. Can you guys see that? It's kind of a little tiny. Once I pick all of those, notify my doctor. I can also sign off the item so then it doesn't hit the review bin. Maybe it just needs to be in the system to have that information in the system. Nobody needs to review it. But if I did need to review it, you wouldn't want to sign off on it, right? You would want it to hit the doctor's document donut in the dashboard in the EHR. And then I would hit send, and that would send to that patient's chart. And it won't let me because it didn't like something that I did. Let me go ahead and do a date. Oh, without a title. That's why. There we go. And then I get used, right? So it's there. So then if I wanted to, I could hit archive, and then it would go into my archive folder and come out of my inbox. If it's one of those lovely, hey, you've won a trip around the world, I can go ahead and move it into my trash. And then they would go in here. And then I can also delete them from here if I wanted to as well. I can mark them as spam, archive. And then anything that you physically send out of Advanced MD will live in your sent folder as well for that 7 years. If there was something that I needed to look for, I could search for that up here in the top right. I have an address book. This pulls from your referring provider system settings. And I can also add to this directory as I'm searching for sending the fax out, or I can add them to the address book and then have it available when I am searching out. So lots of cool things. Questions, thoughts, concerns?
No, I think I'm okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Does that help with the process? Okay. Perfect. I'm going to take silence as the king here. All right. I'm going to stop sharing with you, Laura, and I'm going to give it back to you. You can go ahead and share with me again. Awesome. Perfect. All right. So if you ever have any questions about the help files, there isn't an F1 like in most of the advanced MD screens, and that's because it's a third-party vendor, Updocs, that we use. But if you do need something, if you go to Help in Hub, it will bring you, you can then search for the fax and get a help file. So it's not like you're totally alone. You do have resources. Okay. All right. Perfect. Let's see what's next on the agenda here. All right. Patient portal text and emails is what was next on the list. And Laura, if you come down back into Advanced MD, not quite 100% sure what that means, but I won't have a good, like, maybe a little idea. So I'm going to have you come on into the PM and we're going to look for a patient. All right. Come to your white-headed guy there. And let's go search for the last name of test. And okay, perfect. Now, with our advanced patient module, when patients get reminders of their appointments, they will get the reminder via text, via email, and they can get a voice with the Pro. So to get that, you need to make sure you have a preferred phone number, which right there is the little second box, preferred phone number with the little blue telephone, and you want to make sure that it's marked as a cell phone. And if it's their primary number, you would go ahead and hit the preferred radio button. Then you would also do an email. Yep, so click that little phone button. So you would come down to other, and you would go ahead and put in a cell phone number here. Most of the time in this day and age, the home number is their cell phone number, right? Home number up at the top is more for like a landline, which is, you know, not typically what we see these days. So you would put in the cell phone number, and then the little radio button over to the right is what will go ahead and make it appear on the front screen before you click on the telephone. And then you would click OK. Okay. All right. The email is for them to, one, have access to the patient portal. So it's whatever email address that they want to be able to use to log into the patient portal. And it's also the email address that's going to get the reminders, and it's also going to get the little notification that says, hey, Mickey, you have forms to complete. Click here, which then takes them to the portal to log in to fill out those forms. Remember, we saw the forms the last time we were together on the appointment calendar. It was the little piece of paper with the 2 columns. and it shows you all the forms that are available to be sent and then all the ones that need to be reviewed by patient.
So
That's
they
where-
can only get those forms or to the portal with an email address. Like they can't get
Yes.
it via text.
Nope.
Okay.
Now, the patient and you can control what they get for notifications. So if you come up to the little conversation bubble in the top right-hand corner, you have the little thumbs up, then the double piece of paper. Yep, the messaging preferencing. Click on that. This is how the patient's going to get their reminders. They're automatically enrolled in text, email, and voice. But say this patient doesn't want to get email or they don't want to get a text. You uncheck this and then come to the bottom and hit save, and then they'll only get the ones that are checked. Patients do have the ability to control this as well from their patient portal account. So at any time, they can go ahead and change that if need be. And then if this patient did have any phone numbers or email, right, anything set up, that's what you would see down at the bottom where it says text, voice, and email. It just lets you know what you have on file, and this patient doesn't have anything, so nothing is showing.
Peggy,
And
I
if
have a
you
question.
Yeah.
Sorry. If they have, if we put forms in their portal, won't it send the patient a text message saying we've added, check your portal for?
It sends email. It doesn't send text.
So what? That's not patient messaging.
Patient messaging is campaigns like birthday message or, hey, we have, it's coming fall, seasonal affective disorder, right? That's campaigns.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Messaging. Yep. All right. And then if for some crazy reason you guys do have a patient that is not in the Eastern time zone, right? I mean, you guys are in Florida, so you guys all have the snowbirds. But say they're out in Texas. Well, Texas is Central Time, right? You would be able to change it to the time zone of that patient. So, okay.
Oh, so I have a question. I have a patient who changed their time zone in their portal.
Yep.
Is there a way I can change that back? Because they have themselves in the wrong time zone.
Yeah, right here, you'd have to pull up this patient, and where it says patient time zone under the messaging, you would change it back.
Okay, so this is where I can do that and it'll
Mhm.
change it because it.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely. Yep. And again, we can't lock them out of doing it. So in a month, she may change it back. You never know. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right. Scroll down and you'll actually have a save and cancel, Laura, and you'll be able to then get out of here. Okay. All right. So if you come up to modules, because this kind of goes with the patient portal and the messaging and the reminders, if you come down to patient messaging, like halfway down the list, and messaging history, this will open up and let you see a date range. Right now it's today. But if you backdated this, then you would be able to see the status of those messages that were sent for the reminder. So backdate this to like 10/1 in the top left where it says 11/7. Okay, so you can see forms notification. The little envelope went via email. They've processed it. The one below for Lucille, right? Pence, she clicked on it. They delivered it. So you're able to see all of that. It went via email. It's the forms and the date and all of that. But if you wanted to look for certain things, up at the top, you see it says all sent types, all statuses, all message categories. You can change those It's going to automatically always default to all. So if you click in there, you'll get other choices. So do you want to see what was done by text? You could choose that, right? If you want to just look at your errors, you can go ahead and do that. There you go. Call dropped, failed, failed, failed. And then the little paper airplane all the way to the right, you could click and hit resend. So you definitely want somebody to be looking at this on a pretty regular basis. The little conversation bubble in the first column is a text. The message envelope is email. And you can see the patient, the date, where it was going. And you can see sent wasn't applicable for whatever reason on those couple of those follow-ups because it says NA not available. Okay. Great resource to have. And if you're looking for a specific patient, in the right-hand side there it says search name contact. If you put the patient's last name in there, it'll show you all of the messages for just that patient. So it's pretty cool. Good resource to have. Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure I touched on that because it went along with the text message and emails. Okay, close that. Now I'm assuming you guys are familiar with inviting patients to the portal because that the patients are getting those messages.
Can you show us? Can you show me? There are others
Yeah.
who do it from the other center. I just want to make sure that I'm sure of what I'm doing.
You got it. So see the little blue guy next to save, clear, delete? He kind of looks like he's got a little, I don't know what it is. He's a little blue image of in a blue box next to responsible party and clear within the demographics. No, over to the right in this box where you would make the modifications. We have the patient's name, the little star, the blue star at the very top.
Okay.
That blue guy right there. Once you
Okay.
have an email address in here and you've saved your patient, you can click on that blue guy. You don't have to put anything in here if you don't want.
It just put me in.
Sure. And then go ahead, save that. And now do the blue guy. Ooh, go ahead. Yep, that's okay. Hit the little blue guy. Perfect. So now it's going to bring up that email address and it's associated with this patient. All you have to do is then click that invite button and that's going to send an email from noreply@advancedmd.com to that email address with a link that's good for 48 hours, I want to say, for them to be able to click on it, bring them into the portal and allow them to create an account on the patient portal. They will need to use that email address that's on file. It's going to make them validate their date of birth, so not anybody can just get in there. And then they'll create a password. It's no different than creating a user for your bank or your credit card, right? All of that kind of online stuff. And then this screen will also allow you to see at any time the last time they logged into the system, or say the patient leaves your practice, you can disable so they don't have access to the portal any longer.
Okay.
Okay. And if there's dependents, like I have my portal, it has my fictitious husband, it has my fictitious kids. All you have to do is hit add patient down here. And if you needed to add another patient to be part of this, you would just keep adding them. So if you do see a family, you can do that in the system.
Okay.
And you can enter in an expiration date, like when the child turns 18, you can't get in as a parent to see their information. So you can do all of that.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Go ahead and close that. And there is a report in Report Center for the portal as well. So if you come to the Report Center or the little yellow graph icon there with the first yellow icon with the little graph, that's Report Center as well. And if you search for portal and the find reports there, and see patient portal status, yep, click on that. And then this is where you're going to be able to choose your parameter, all active, not enrolled, who's locked out, what do you want to see, and just hit run report. Then you'll be able to see who's got an account, when they've logged in, who's not enrolled, right? If you leave it at all, it's going to show you every patient and what their portal status is.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead and close that. In that blue box where you were inviting the patient to the portal, if you get a call and say, I can't get into my portal account, that's where you can go ahead and reset them as well and send them a new invite. So where the invite button is right now, that will have a resend button once you send it the first time. And then when you hit the invite, down at the very, very bottom, it'll say invitation sent pending acceptance. So you know that the email went out and you're waiting for the patient to do their piece. Again, the big thing to remind patients is they have 48 hours to get that, and it may go to their junk mail. So get that. Now, if you don't go through this process, right, this is the preferred workflow. But if you don't and you just send forms, patients can self-register from that link that says, hey, Mickey, you have forms to complete. And they can self-register on the portal. Okay. It's just nice to give them that little heads up that we invited you to the portal. Okay.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Go ahead, close there. Awesome. All right, the next on the list, and I think we might have touched on this, but I just wanted to make sure we touched it again and everything was good. It was copay balance collection at check-in.
Yeah.
Okay.
We touched on that, so I think I'm
Are we good with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, making sure. And then PDMP queries. That would be done in the EHR. So if you want to jump over to the EHR, and Laura, if you want for this patient to become available in the EHR, if you come back into the PM, you can see, because you're in that patient's chart, there's a little EHR button over to the right of the conversation. That will bring you into that patient's chart in the EHR. Okay. And vice versa, if you're in the EHR and needed to get to the PM and you click the PM button, it would bring you into the PM for his chart. So it's a way that you don't have to reselect the patient.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So the thing to know about PDMP is that only the providers can do the queries. You need to be set up with your state. And I don't know if you are, so I will do some digging on that to make sure. I would assume you are, but the provider needs to be set up with EPCS to be able to do controlled substances. And then from there, you register with your state. Okay. You have to have at least one doctor set up with EPCS with Advanced MD. Then you register with your state. And the state, because we use Doctor First as our vendor, they don't allow for mid-levels to do any PDMP checking. It's just the providers. So we're at that constraint. So if you're used to the MAs pulling that information, they would still have to go out and look on the website themselves directly. For a provider, right on their medication card, you can see that little hyperlink here that says PDMP underneath the little funnels. filter, they would click on that. That would take them out, and they'd be able to get into Doctor First with their passphrase and then see the information for the patient.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. I know it can be an issue because I just had another client that their MAs do that checking now, and they weren't kind of happy that only the providers could do it. So, but we're at the mercy of that third party vendor.
My providers are just used to our staff doing it for them. So
Yep.
it's just an adjustment they're going to have to make. So
I completely understand, and that's that's a normal workflow, but Doctor First says, nope, we need the provider to do it.
okay.
Okay. All right. Then the last thing that I had on the list here of all of our topics on the agenda that we needed to cover was reporting. And that's very broad, so I wasn't quite sure what we need for reporting.
So we run a lot of reports. We look at a lot of things. Each of us has specific things that we look at daily, or when Dr. Rao is looking for something, we're constantly running reports.
Okay. What kind of reports? Tell me what's in some of those reports.
Like for me, I look a lot at like our work comp patients, like how many we've seen in like the last couple months to when they're scheduled out the next few months, dates they were seen, providers they were saw, upcoming appointment dates.
Per
who they were referred by.
patient or just as a whole?
Per patient.
Okay. So there is, if you come into the practice manager side again, you already have it open, so it may not open it. You have to open it from the bottom. Yeah. Okay. Come to your, this is your patient. So if you wanted to see and you wanted to just see this patient, over to the left on the vertical toolbar, it kind of looks like a little Martian square guy underneath the little megaphone. That's going to show you all appointments for this patient.
Okay.
So previous and upcoming. So anything that this patient has would be here. The other thing you can do is if you come to Report Center, because this is just going to show you the patient and what their particular appointment types are. You also, if you scroll down to the patient section here, I want to say it's patient management. Click on that category. So you have an analysis of visits detail. Click on that. And this is going to let you look at a particular patient or by financial class or carrier. But if you come down and you do date of service, which you have, and you scroll down a little bit more, unless you want to open this full screen, it might be easier. And you put in a date range. So just do last week, for example. Drop that down to last, yeah. And then just run report up at the top. This is going to give you all of this information. So you're going to be able to see the visit, the date of service, the charge code, the diagnosis. And you can see when they've had all these appointments for Aetna. This is doing it by carrier. But if you wanted to export this to Excel, then you can manipulate data over there. I don't know if that's helpful or not helpful.
Not really.
Okay. All right. Nope, that's fair.
No, yeah.
Okay. If you hit back, it'll keep us in Report Center. And we are going to go ahead. I'm going to have you come back, and you want to see, do you use episodes for your workers' comp, or how do you know the patient's workers' comp?
Usually it's how appointment type.
Okay.
So we schedule them as work comp appointments. So we know.
All right. So if you come up to the top for appointment, this, and the reason I'm asking is this isn't going to drill down to the patient level, but if you notice, you have appointment type totals, like fourth or fifth one down on the list, that is going to show you within that time frame, how many appointments did you have that were a new patient? How many were an established or an injection or something like that? So go ahead and click on that. And then just do a date range so you can see that. Okay. So again, it breaks it down by provider and then by totals, right? You're not really going to see the patient here. Now, if you hit back and you did a column report, so column appointments, that will show you the patient and what's on that schedule for the day. So,
Okay.
That's another option. The other one would be the appointment status list report over at left as well. So that one will allow you to see information about the appointment. I like it when you hover over it, it gives you a little blurb. So this is showing you the status of the appointment, your clinic, provider. It's not one that I can tell you I remembered all the details. So again, if you wanted to look and run that, you'll be able to then see what that information looks like. You can even, pull one column at a time if you didn't want to do them all. If you come down further, there's provider appointments with patient characteristics. I don't think that's anything you're going to need either. That's going to give you like demographic information, sexual orientation, gender. That's if you're capturing that information. Master appointments with insurance. That will show you whether they have an insurance balance, total balance. Your front desk can use this report to track and manage the daily appointments. So that might be a good one for you guys to run ahead of time. It'll show you who has balances and what they are.
Okay.
So when I'm trying to think of your specific provider, patient, excuse me. So come to the patient section again under patient listing. And you have two here. So we have patient history summary and patient history detail. Let's see if one of these gives you the information you're looking for. So you would search for a patient, and then your date range, and then you would run report. Actually, you would also want to do where it says filter charges down at the bottom. You might want to do all items because you can only have one radio button. And if you're looking for a visit that may be paid, it's not going to show in your open items because they would have to have a balance.
Okay,
Okay. So
makes sense.
it's just finding which one works the best for you and playing in here patient. Like I said, all of this patient is patient specific. So patient visit summary, the little blurb says, includes detailed information about a single patient's visit, including billing, diagnosis, timely and comprehensive management. The report is for a single patient for a specific range. Because Mickey Mouse could come in and be a workers' comp one day and then come back and see you guys and be a regular medical insurance, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm looking to see if there's anything about episode. If I could spell episode, we'd be good. No, there isn't anything for episode. But that's what's nice about the find report up at the top. It literally will search for that word anywhere in your information. And then again, the F1 for the help files, it'll break down all your reports as well. Clinical. The clinical category here up at the top lets you see unsigned chart notes and items. So if a provider didn't sign something for them, it's a nice level to say, hey, Dr. So-and-so, you have a lot in your dashboard donuts in the EHR that need to be signed. And you get on that. The other thing you could also do is in the analytics module. If you have that, that lets you create queries in the system, and then you can drill down the information there. It does go off of transactional information, so the patient does need to have a visit and data in the system. If you can, Laura, send me an example of a couple of your reports
Sure.
that you run on a regular basis, I can do a little bit further digging just to see if I can match them or how best I can match them, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yep, that would be great.
Thanks. Thanks. I'm a visual and like apples and apples, not apples and oranges. So Perfect. Yep. What else can I answer? We have about 5 minutes left here, and we've gotten through our list of agenda stuff. Yay!
Eric, do we have that module, the analytics module? Do you know?
I don't know. Maybe somebody on this team can answer that question.
So do this for me. Come back into the PM side, your regular PM, close out of the report center. Yeah. And see the very last yellow underlined icon with the little graph before the EHR button? Yep, that is your analytics module.
Okay.
Click on that. If you have it, it should open you up into the module. People do need authorization to get in here. So because you got this error, you may need to clear your cache and then come back in. This doesn't mean that you don't have it. So just, I would clear your cache in your browser and then try to come back into it. And I can go ahead and try to see if you have it as well, because I don't know. Do this, close out of here for me. Come to help. Yeah, analytics is only in the PM side. Come down to about for me. And scroll through this list. This shows you some of your modules that you have. And analytics you do have. If you notice, you scroll back up. It was right there in alphabetical order. Right there, analytics.
Okay.
So clear your cache and then you can come back in here. There are, there's a video within the video training library. There's help files. It works off of Cognos programming. So if you know IBM Cognos, kudos to you.
I was able to get into it, but it's having me log in, and my user ID and password that I use for Advanced MD says the credentials are invalid.
It
So is there
shouldn't.
a different login?
Nope.
It says sign in with your ad hoc ID. I don't know what that is.
I would clear your cache and try to get into it again. Again, it's you need privilege to get into that, and that's all rule driven. So
What is the ad hoc ID?
there isn't one. It just logs you into the analytics module if you have the privilege. It's part of Advanced MD. There's no second login or anything.
Is there anywhere where I can find a list of all of your modules that you offer? So I can make sure
Modules?
Yeah, like the add-ons?
No, there's so many of them that no,
Okay.
we don't have a list. That's something you can get from Coronis or inquire with them because they own the office key. This is what was purchased.
Okay.
I don't even have a list of everything that I could even provide you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. What else can I answer?
I think that's all I have right now till I send you my stuff.
Okay. So do you want to schedule something for next week?
Yeah, we can schedule next week.
Okay. Because my week is getting squishy already. I am out of the office Friday and Monday on PTO. So I could meet on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. That would be my earliest time. If that works.
Tuesday, I'm on a flight.
Nice. Hopefully you're going somewhere good.
I'm traveling from Pittsburgh to I'll be in the Fort Lauderdale office on Monday. I'll be trying back to Pittsburgh on Tuesday.
Gotcha. Okay. So the next time I have really open would be Friday at 9, or I could do a 10.
I can do 10.
10 on Friday?
Yeah, that'll work.
All right. So I don't have any other agenda items